Hi. Okay, I am here with Ember, who is a DJ, producer, music label owner extraordinaire. You have so many things going on because you are amazing and you really are hitting the music scene hard. So tell me, I mean, I'm your friend, so everybody listening, like I hang out with Ember all the time. But tell me as if I've never met you before. When did you first start getting into, let's start with DJing. When did you first start DJing?
I guess I first got into DJing at this point like 15 years ago. I had friends in Chicago that were playing around town, and some of them were playing cool parties. And I was like into street racing at the time, and I kind of just like was drawn to it. And I guess I started with this old Hercules controller using the dreaded sync button. But like once I got rid of the sync button and I went to like decks and I like learned how to like actual beat match, I got much better, much faster. But there was many years of being like very, very bad at that. Most of
All
like
right.
so like
Yeah.
my practice has been live in front of people rather than like in my house, which part of me wishes I practiced more at home, but part of me is just like, I mean, I'm good at reading a crowd because of that. So like,
I was
yeah.
gonna say, there's like, pros and cons to every approach. I will say this. I had a hard wake-up call this past weekend. I jumped on some decks and it was fine, but they were CDJ 2000s, and because I am so spoiled, all I do now is practice on these. And like they're amazing, but like I was a little lost on the CDJ 2000s. I mean, I got there and the sync button was on and I was like, how the fuck do I turn the sync button off? You know what I'm saying? It was like stuff like that. And then I couldn't even figure out which knob, and it was dark and I couldn't really see. And I'm also trying to like mix at the same time. I couldn't figure out the knob to turn the headphones so that it was in both tracks. So like beat matching from one mixer to the other, like one CDJ to the next was not good, but this one to that one was fine. It was anyway, but it was a rude wake up call because I was like, I'm spoiled. I need to start practicing on like this. Do you know what I mean? Like I need to start like practicing on
I don't
this.
know. I don't know if that would get you better at it. I feel like so in
Yeah.
my experience DJing, most places have beat up equipment.
Yeah.
Not every place has the new stuff. Like the
Right.
biggest do, but those are also the hardest ones to get to.
Exactly.
Like my first CDJs, I had them for a little while. I had CDJ 1000s to tell you how
Amazing.
1000s MK2s, and they went up to the MK3s before the 2000s, before the 3000s. So yeah, so back a long
Yeah.
time.
Back a long time ago. Yeah.
Most
Yeah.
places in my many years, lots of stuff is broken, or like
Yeah.
knob is missing, mixers being outdated. Just it's the thing. Even jog wheels. I've been at places where the jog wheels like super janky, and I'm like not able to.
Like even get your song.
No, I can get to it, but like it's almost like I touch it and it's like a huge jump, and I'm like, dude, I'm trying to like feather
I
it,
see. I
and
see.
sometimes
I
it's
see.
that. I played at a place in Hollywood recently that it was a controller and then the knob to like search for your track. It just kept
Yeah.
bringing it down, and I'm like trying to go back up, and it's like stop that. Like so I was like annoyed because like my playlists have a lot of songs, 100, 200,
Yeah.
because of like I'd
Yeah.
rather keep my energy going in this section rather than not. But I had songs at the top, and I'm like I can't even get up. Like
Can't even get to your songs because the knob just kept bringing you further down, further down. Yeah. So just to break real quick, because I want to tell anybody that is listening and watching that a little bit more about you as a DJ. So I first met you when I moved back here in LA. I think it was like October of 2022. And so you and I have been friends for a minute now. But your DJing is so fast. So one of the things I've noticed about you is that like your hands are moving always, which is I mean, and just anybody listening, you're as my DJ mentor, you've taught me to make sure that I'm using my hands. Like that's the point. But like
make with them and
I but you, I mean, if I tried, like you are moving your hands so fast because you're mixing so fast. So like that's what I want listeners to understand about your style is like most DJs, like when I do a set for an hour, I'm pulling together like 60 songs and you're pulling together like 100 to 120.
most festival DJs they'll play 12, 15, maybe 20 songs.
Yeah.
Um, in that hour, I could do 35 to 40, 45, depending on what I'm doing and stuff like that. But usually
Sure.
I need at least minimum 30 songs that I will play. But then
Sure.
like I don't know how any of them are gonna do or if what I play is gonna work. So I recommend always at least double that.
Yeah.
Whether you're
Yeah.
playing recommend at least double. So if I'm doing like 40 songs in an hour, I would like to have a minimum of like 80 songs.
Yeah.
There's lots of new songs, lots of my own songs, lots of friend songs. So like that's why my playlist gets really big, and I have options.
Well, so what do you mean when if something's not going well? This is that crowd reading stuff you were
If I
talking
play a
about,
song
right?
and it's flat, I see hands down, people are like talking, not like moving. This isn't what they need. So let's go something different. Maybe some songs, I call certain songs like Fishing with Dynamite. There's certain songs that you play it almost any time and it's just gonna like light up the floor. There's a few songs that'll just like do that. Sometimes it's reach for one of those, or maybe other things that just like it's just a different approach. Maybe it's I'm playing a style they don't want. Maybe I start too much and they want something dirtier or stuff like that. So it's kind of adjusting to what you see happening.
Yeah. I love that. And that's why you have so many songs so that you can do that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's also why you go fast, because if you see something's not working, you get out.
Sometimes I'll have like a plan in mind of what I want to do, and that's not the crowd. And I'm like, let's try this. That's not working. So by having all those options, I could like adjust and do a bunch of things.
Yeah. And is that a skill? I mean, you think you attribute that to the fact that you were DJing out in public only, that you don't practice at home?
Partially. I mean, partially to some degree. It's like I know that the floor likes to I like to move energy on the floor. Like that's a preference of mine. I also kind of realized that though I can be a groover, I'm much more of a banger when playing. Like I like to like smash it out.
Yeah.
And obviously I want it to be tighter and also like high energy going. So
yeah, it's fun. It's fun. Every time I watch you play, I can't stop moving. Even if I'm like in a mood, because like I like to support my friends, even if I'm like in a mood and I don't feel like going to lick and dip at 3 a.m. You know what I mean? But every time I go, you always crush it. I'm smiling, I'm dancing. It's so good. And everybody around me is just like feeling it, like really feeling it. Like dance floors are sweaty when you're playing. Like
I have been luckily playing lots of warehouses lately, which like, you're definitely the better. Even though like when you get there and it's musty, it sucks. But like if you're in the sweat with everybody else, it's great. But
yes. Oh my God. I mean, I am like always like super, like, I don't know why I bring jackets to your sets. Like it's kind of silly. Yeah, if I can put it with you by the DJ booth, I'll bring it. But you know what I mean? Like otherwise, like I shouldn't bring it. I mean, I'm so sweaty because your stuff is just so good.
It's also so fast paced that I make a ton of mistakes, but because everything is happening so fast, most people won't hear them. I'm never train wrecking, but I might not be right on it, and I'm like, I'll keep adjusting. And lots of times, I'm even starting my next song without the tempos lining up yet, just because I know I'll catch it up in that time. If I'm way off, I like have to abort that plan and like wait a few bars to do that.
Yeah.
Committing like let's go, and I'm not like still at the right tempo yet. So
yeah.
That's thinking on your feet and being like thinking on your feet fast in general.
Yeah. And you started DJing before producing, yeah?
Correct. Yeah, I DJ'd.
And in Chicago is when where you started, like from the depths of Chicago emerged this bright flame. Yeah.
Bars and bars and stuff, and some cool clubs up there. As I said, on a controller. And then my first time playing a nightclub was called Proof Nightclub.
Yeah.
Started with my controller, and I did not know how to beat match. So me mixing out of the next DJ was a train wreck city, and I vowed to never do that again. So then I bought decks to like get better and not do that.
Got it.
And then when I had that was when I stopped using sync, because on the controller it was too easy to just push the button and just to do that.
Right.
And then when I bought, though they had sync, I'm like, honestly, no. And that's when I did get a lot better. I was very terrible for a long time, but then it like clicked a lot.
Yeah. Well, yeah. The sync button. I mean, if I know that I wouldn't be able to find that headphone knob on the 2000s, I might have kept that sync button on. Now I realize why the person before me had it on, because they couldn't figure out on the headphone either. Because they didn't. Not like they gave me headphones that had both tracks going, and I messed something up. That was what I was given.
Busted equipment. It could have been that. That's a very, very
common. Could also be that too, and that's so interesting because then it's like you're trying to figure out. But it was great. I love the experience because I did train wreck, I think, and so that's okay because I felt that, and now I'm like, I gotta be mixing every day. So okay, so you're in Chicago mixing, and then you came out to LA.
Yeah, so I started DJing like 12 to 15 years ago. I don't know the exact day. I saw somewhere online from something I posted, which was like 2011, maybe 2010. So at
Amazing.
least since somewhere before then. That was the earliest thing that I socially posted about then. But I started actually, I had virtual DJ and I was making mixes from home to give out to friends. And then my buddy Dave, who was playing everywhere, his name's LD, DJ LD. He's like, hey, do you want to play somewhere? And again, I don't know the year I started, but I played a place called Local Bar and Grill. I was terrible because I pre-planned a whole set and it was all bangers and I didn't actually know how to mix. So like that was a huge learning curve. He's like, dude, don't plan it. Just go by a vibe and vibe it out. And then came out to LA 2016. I quit DJing around then, maybe the year or two, my last year or two in Chicago, because I was trying to like produce, but I wasn't doing it. Like life wasn't giving me what I wanted, and I was just burnt out from work. I used to work finance, so it
Yeah,
wasn't
yeah,
like progressing towards my actual goal.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So you
Came out
did
here,
yeah, and then did you apply because you went to Icon?
correct? Yeah, I went to Icon fall 2016.
Okay, okay. Did you apply before you moved out?
Yeah, so I had a dream that kind of called me to come out here. It was almost coming up on 8 years since it, March 6th, 2016.
Amazing.
I had a dream, and in this dream, I don't actually historically I don't remember very many of my dreams. Like I'll dream and like cool, and then this like
Yeah.
in this dream I like quit my job. Like I very clearly remember telling my boss at the time, his name was Kyle. I told him that I'm done. I'm moving out here, and my car, I had a white Audi at the time. I saw it literally on PCH driving in like the sunset of the beach. And then I woke up and I felt like the heat still from that. So it was like a very, very real dream. And I couldn't like forget that one because I'm like, dude, I don't remember these in the first place. This one like
Yeah.
felt like it. And it was I had friends say that maybe I astral projected out here or something, but like
Oh, yeah.
like
Yeah.
my call like, yo, get out here. And then I knew that I needed to come out here. I found Icon and I applied later that month, like later March of 2016. I don't remember when exactly they approved me or whatever, but I ended up coming. I moved September 26th of that year.
Amazing.
The
Amazing.
relationship time of applying, and I actually did not tell my partner at the time because I figured I wasn't sure how that would be received. Like I need to move across the country.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ultimately,
Yeah.
what needed to happen did happen, and here we are in Los Angeles.
And here we are in Los Angeles,
Yes.
about 7 years later.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
got into DJing when COVID hit, oddly enough.
You got back into DJing.
Because I was only writing music at that time. Like I came out to LA 2016.
Yep.
By 3 months in here, I had my decks set up and everything, and I'm like, I don't need to use these. I'm like, honestly, I just want to like produce.
Yeah.
And I sold all my equipment, and at that point, I'm like, I'm just a producer. And
Yeah.
I was just producing music for me. I was going to produce a couple other artists. And then COVID hit, and an artist I was working with named Maya Manel, she asked me to DJ her virtual release party because it was her debut.
Mm.
And I was skeptical because it was going to be like a virtual live stream. And at that point, I had
Yeah.
in at least 5 years. I'm like, dude, I don't know. I might be bad, blah, blah.
Yeah.
I convinced her to give me like a day of practice before like the actual live stream. And though I wasn't great, I at least still knew my way around the decks, that it
Yeah.
was enough that I won't embarrass myself.
Yeah. Like riding a bike.
Pretty much. There's a little bit of rust to like shake off, but yeah.
Sure. Sure.
But after that release party thing, people saw me and then I started getting booked for underground parties and
Nice.
then more gigs. And then the year after that, I played like 3 festivals in a year, which was my first time playing festivals, and let up
Amazing.
3 in a year. So that was pretty cool.
That's amazing. It's amazing. You know, it's like you keep trying to.
When writing music, because lots of
Yeah.
what I was reading from like a pop format, not necessarily to write something to play out live because I wasn't DJing at the time. So lots of the things that I was writing, I'm like, yo, these suck live. They're great songs, but like these
Yeah.
do it for the floor. So
Yeah.
that's
No.
to relearn how I was writing then to like make that fit for the club.
Yeah. 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 Make songs that actually people want to dance to. Yeah. Yeah.
I just learned how to make, yeah.
Yeah. Not just like a cool song. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So you got back into DJing. It's amazing how you kept trying to leave her, and she like wouldn't let you. She's like, if you leave me, I will find you.
One of when I was in high school looking for colleges to go to,
Yeah.
at that point, I was drawing electronic music. I had a friend named DJ Fire. Oddly, I didn't even think about it till now, which my name is EMMBER. Hilarious.
That is actually
Early on, but he played like trance music. And I didn't know any schools that would like teach me what I wanted to learn. So then I ended up doing film for a while. So I went to Columbia College for like a year and a half to do film. And then here we are many years later. I'm actually
God.
at what I should have been doing, which is music in the first place.
Music. It's always been
Usually I
music.
do both, and I probably always will. Like
I was
film.
going to say, because your visualizations are great. Like the production stuff that you do that way too is amazing. Yeah. And that's so important these days. Like you can't just, it's not just about the music anymore because people want visuals. They want visuals with it.
I heard a thing once, and it's like I almost try to fight it, but it's very real. People don't buy the art; they buy the artist. And
Yeah. Yeah.
me and my art, the more that they care about. Just like, here's a song, cool. But
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
it's like, here, this is my story about this song, or this is me, even this brand new thing I made. Like, I made a Knock 2 remix for Lick and Dip the last show.
Yeah.
And leading up to that, I was teasing the song, and then I've already had people asking me for the song already. Like, I've already built hype around a song that I may or may not release, but like that
Right.
teaser thing has helped kind of like
Yeah.
set me as an artist, not just, hey, there's art kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's switch over to producing a little bit. Okay. Actually, no, before we do that, what are your goals for DJing for 2024? You said about you want to book more festivals.
I want to play
believe you
more
said.
festivals. I haven't played a
Yeah.
festival since what, 21, 22. I want to play more clubs. I've
Yeah.
definitely been playing a ton, but I've definitely been refining my sound and just kind of getting the
Yeah.
things, trying to get stuff signed. Overall,
Are there any clubs in particular?
I want to play Insomnia clubs, but I
Okay.
overall want to play Academy, Exchange, and Sound in any order.
Okay.
I've already done Avalon, and that was so much fun.
Ah,
But now my catalog compared to back then is way better, and I'm excited to like just drop stuff. And even not just what I'm sitting on now is like I got the Lick and Nip booking, which doesn't pay a ton of money. And just in 2 weeks before that, I'm like, let me make some cool shit. I made like 5 edits or remixes just in that time, just for that show, in addition to what I already had. So like, I'm excited for that too. So whenever I do get the call from Insomniac, hey, we need you for this, cool. I'm excited for what I already have. Plus, there's going to be plenty of new things that I'll just like whip up.
absolutely. Well, you're good at that. I mean, you've been doing this for a long time now.
Yeah.
You're really, really good at it. So,
Thank you.
okay, so let's switch to producing. So you were DJing, and then you basically stuck your middle finger up to DJing for a minute. And you're like, I'm just going to go to production. Yeah, exactly. I'm going to produce. So why did you decide that to make such a stark switch?
I literally fell in love with writing music, and
Mm,
I didn't know that that was going to happen because I was never raised a musician.
mm,
First musical entry was as a DJ playing other people's music. I didn't feel musical. I wasn't in piano for years. I took piano lessons as a kid for maybe a few months, maybe
yeah.
6 next, but I was forced to, and I'm not very good at being forced to do things. So like I stopped as soon as I didn't need to. And it wasn't like, hey, this is what I want to do. But I just fell in love with writing music. I started producing because my buddy Jesse, he planted a seed for me, and it was so casual. And when I told him about it after the fact, he didn't realize how much it inspired me. At the time, he was playing all the clubs in Chicago, and he said, if you start making your own edits, you could get better time slots. And at that point, I was just opening everywhere. I was the opener, I was the opener, I was the opener, I was first, like that's it. And when he told me that, I was thinking about he was playing everywhere. He was closing for ATV, he was opening for this person, he was like, damn, he's like doing it. So I stumbled upon Ableton and just started playing with it, and I was like hooked. I had no clue what I was doing. It sounded terrible, but it was so much fun. I was like, this is cool. Fast forward to I'm out in LA, I'm at Icon. I'm making terrible music at the time, but something about everything starting from silence, and then there's a feeling. Maybe it's terribly put together or whatever, but like I really was falling in love with that. And at that point, DJing really wasn't. I'm like, I don't need to do that. I've done that already forever, and I'm like, I like this a lot more. I definitely did not expect that at all to happen, but like, I mean, it's all part of the process. I even had as I've been doing both now, DJing and producing. I had a realization a couple years ago. I played a Halloween party, and huge show, lots of people there. That's when when I started making edits in addition to like my originals. And the realization I had is that writing music feeds my soul, whereas recording music feeds my ego. It's very important, but I just know that long term, I definitely need to feed my soul more. So that's why I kind of lean more towards writing music. I'm down to play shows, and it's literally one of my favorite things to do. But at the same point, I need to be in the studio creating, making magic. But that also is going to get me to the stages that I want. Like,
Of course.
Dip, and that's a lot of fun. But like, I'm trying to play like Miami and like Chicago.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Like,
you're only gonna elevate out of the local scene if you're true to your heart. That's the only way. Yeah. Because there's so many people here trying to do the same thing that are not tapped into that. So it's like a different type of magic.
I know so many DJs that don't even make music, and they play all the time. And there's been times where I'm like, I should just, and I'm like, honestly, no, because I know what they'll get for a gig, and I'm like, that's cool and all, but like, dude, I've already logged years of DJing. What is me playing every week at a place just to play gonna do? Like,
I mean, yeah, I don't. With
the
yeah,
last set you saw was, I hadn't played in a month before that. Let alone that set that you saw was probably my best set I've played in 15 years DJing. So it's almost like I play every time, but like just keep doing the things that I'm doing. And I mean, there's lots of business ends to handle also with like making everything take off, but like just keep making music, build a catalog, and just kind of keep rocking the.
So you started producing when you went to Icon, or a little bit before that?
I started Icon 2016, somewhere around 2015 was I started producing, but I feel like every single song was garbage, dog shit, and just, yeah, as in most people's first songs are. You like make it, you're like, yo, this is sick, and then you hear back, you're like, what was I thinking? Yeah. And I feel like pre-Icon I had finished maybe finished 3 or 4 songs. Like, I remember I would show coworkers them because I'd be like on lunch working on it, like, check this out, and it was like, this sounds terrible, but like they were all like, this is cool, like, cool. But those times ultimately got me to keep doing it. And then, I mean, Icon was a gamble. I came out here not knowing a single person, and here I've made it work, and now 7+ years in.
Yeah. So when did you? So the first tracks you made were garbage. Then you went to Icon. When did you release your first track? Was it before Icon?
I don't think I released anything before Icon.
Okay.
I might have, but like maybe like a SoundCloud only kind of thing.
Okay.
That I don't remember. I know there were some remixes that I probably put out after Icon, like 2017, 2018 maybe. There was a few remixes. I know I did like an RL Grime remix for I Want to Know.
Amazing.
To Morgan Page, Longest Road. So I had done remixes. A lot of the things I was writing earlier with like there's this girl, what's her name now? Zara Larson. I remixed a few of her songs like Stay and just like a few things. And I feel like 2017, 18, I was like putting remixes out. But then I don't think I like loved anything I was making. Like, these are cool, but they're not what I hear everything else. It was, for me, it was like a mixture of sound quality and like mix. Like, my songs weren't what they needed to be. So I kind of almost like stopped putting music out until honestly it's like 2020. So it took a few years. But I also, in that time, I explored. I had a duo together with another friend called Daily Dose. So we wrote a ton of stuff. So at that point was like literally grind out. With that project, Daily Dose, we easily wrote 20 or 30 different songs in every style from like Latin to pop. So like I explored a lot, kind of just refined my writing process, my sound. 2020, I started releasing. And then that's when also projects that I was writing for other artists were coming out. And 2020 was a really good hit the ground running kind of thing because I was sitting on so much music. And then 21 put some stuff out. The last 2 years, I have not put a ton of stuff out, but my catalog that I'm sitting on has been getting deeper and deeper.
Nice.
So this year is definitely going to be some good releases.
I can't wait. What's your favorite release to date?
To date, it's my last one. It's called I Think It's Time. That's just the realest song that I actually wrote.
Yeah.
They all mean something. They all come from like a deep place. But that one was very real because going into the writing session, I wrote it with my friend Lavenge and Norda Blue.
Yeah.
And we were just talking before we act like Lavenge and I, we wrote the instrumental before the session. So we kind of had a feeling and a vibe there. And we get there for the co-write and we're all just like talking like what we've been going through. And oddly enough, that song, not many people know this, but we were battling the things about we're like stuck with. And at that point, I was even considering quitting DJing again. I'm like, I don't know, this is not getting what I want. And should I just get rid of this and just only write? Because like my soul definitely likes writing the most. And I love both. And it was just like a juggle of that. And as we were co-writing, she came up with a melody, Norda Blue, and I just kind of said lyrics. I'm like, I think it's time. And it just kind of like snowballed into the song. Like from start to finish, that feels like it says everything we needed to say, and I feel like that's awesome as a release song. There's other ones that I have that I might like more, but those aren't exactly out yet. But
yeah.
But that one means the most, like for sure.
Yeah, I love it.
I didn't as deep as that one with what I'm saying.
Well, it's like what we were just talking about. I mean, you're writing something to sing from your soul, like it's what makes your soul happy. So the more real it is. And that's the more we're going to be more vulnerable, I think, with everything we produce, just because we get more comfortable in the vulnerability, right?
Correct.
Yeah. That's beautiful. So, okay. So producing is where your heart just takes flight. What are your production goals for the year?
Overall, I want to release 12 records this year.
Okay.
I already have 8 or 9 finished. I just got to actually come up with release plans for all of them. So,
Cool.
I mean, the goals are very, very obtainable. There's just like actually doing steps in that. There is a chance that I explore a side project also, but we'll leave more of that till later. I've been exploring other. So my EMMBER sound definitely is on the high energy kind of bangers that just like kind of slap. But like I've been exploring a chiller side. You may have heard that in like New Year's, like stuff like that. I might be.
Yeah, like dark, like deep progressive house, like good, like yeah.
Thinking more like Afro beats, honestly.
Oh,
but,
okay.
Cool. Yeah, I just. When it feels like I heard a tip, my first actually icon orientation.
Yeah.
It feels like work. Lay off the gas. And making bangers honestly isn't easy. Sometimes they just show up, and sometimes I'm just like, how do I make this drop right or whatever?
Right.
And just in kind of letting off the gas, I found this very laid back rhythms and sounds that kind of have warmed my heart. So I'm like, honestly, these are cool. They make me happy. So I've just been exploring them, and
yeah. That's beautiful. Well, you're following your heart.
Pretty much, yeah.
I love it. Yeah, I love it. Okay, so what are your production goals are to release an album, 12 albums this year, 12 tracks rather, not an album.
I feel very anti-albums, honestly.
Anti-album.
Yeah, like at least
why?
At least at this point in my life, because one, we're in the era where content matters a lot.
Right.
And I'm not Drake where I could disappear for a year and come back and here's an album and people whatever. I need to consistently drop music. So like last year I kind of ultimately did that, whereas I released a single and then didn't do anything, and I'm like, cool, now I'm banished off the rate. Like no. I need to keep things out. And I feel like me doing an album takes that away, at least with where I'm at right now.
Right.
I'm not ruling them out. I feel like at this point I would either do singles for a minute, and I do probably want to do an EP also maybe later this year, but like an album, like an 8 to 12 songs, and then that's it. Like that's just not something I feel like I'm called to do at this time.
Yeah. Fair. I think you're right that, content, especially until you become somebody like Skrillex, who, like you said, can take like time off.
It took years. The album was under construction for 5 years, and he's the goat of goats. Like,
exactly.
Like, do I need to drop an album? Like, no.
No. Well, right. Not until you have like the fan base for it, right? I mean, that's the thing. It's kind of like, like otherwise, album just takes too long. Like you said, it's just too obsolete. It's like in the writing world, it's flash fiction. You write something too long, like it takes so long to put it out, first of all, and then nobody's gonna read it because it's too long. I mean,
like a remix package where I drop like a set of remixes. Remixes are significantly easier and faster to do.
Yeah.
Like before our call, I was working on a remix for the Diplo song "Stay High," that I might keep that on. I might not. I might just make it an original. I don't know. But like the song feels so much more finished with that vocal there. I'm like, I could do a bunch of these and
there you go.
So like that might be a possibility, but the album I don't see that right now.
Yeah, no, that's totally chill. So okay, so transitioning over from production to your record label, Better Together. So when did you start? So you are in Better Together with Plur Pammy, and I'm going to interview her in a couple of weeks. But basically, what made you decide to start a record label?
I've always wanted to help other artists, and it definitely feels like a good platform to use to have for that. Like other artists that are kicking ass sometimes don't know how to release music, and I've learned a lot about releasing and distribution and promotion and things like that. Plus, I definitely have a pretty good ear for like pop and music, so I wanted to kind of like leverage all of that. In 2020, like October, November, Pam and I were at a conference in Florida, and we were just like talking about goals that we all had. And one of her goals that she mentioned was wanting to start a label. And then we just kind of started talking about that because before moving out here for Icon, they made me write down goals. And that was a goal that I had written down at the time. I was like, damn, okay, this is something that I want to do. It was like, I want to play this festival or I want to do this.
Yeah.
Goals that I wrote was like start a label. I think I said within like 5 or 10 years from when I came out here. So I did actually hit that goal earlier than that.
Sure.
I talked about it then, and then I had a release that was coming out called Hero. With Terrell Carter. So like we were going to let song release with like starting the label because I'm like, this feels like a good plan on this. So yeah, we came up with a bunch of plans, made lists of artists we wanted to approach and stuff like that, and then kind of just like hit the ground running. So as of right now, I think we've had 18 releases, something like that. So we've had a good amount of releases.
That's amazing. That's amazing. That's incredible.
We also started a podcast in what, 2011? Like, oh no, sorry, no, 2021. Like 2021, and I was just editing episode 80, which is pretty cool.
Congratulations. That's amazing.
What I love about the podcast is like I'm showing artists in the area that are kicking ass. Obviously, because I'm from Chicago, I'm showing some Chicago artists. Like the next guest is a buddy from Chicago. I've had a few from Chicago on already.
Yeah.
But also one big thing for me is I find a lot of my music for DJing in DJ sets. Sometimes I'm not just really like digging for songs where I'll play a set. Wait, what's that? It's something's caught my ear and I need to play that. Or I'll Shazam a song mid-set. And for me, that's a really good tool of finding music. And I feel like I know other DJs would probably do that also. Yes, I create. Yes, I looked through billions of songs.
Sure.
But something about a live set, because it also, when you hear a song in a set, you know it works live to some degree, right?
Of course, you've heard it. You've heard it live.
Really, that gives you a really good like idea of like, wait, how I could get into this, how I could not. Because sometimes you find a song, you're like, this is cool, and then you're like, maybe I only like a small section, and like, I have the song, but now I only like too little. Maybe I'm not even gonna use it, and then it just like stays on the shelf.
Right.
Hearing it live, I'm like, oh, this is cool. And then I'll either sometimes even get ideas for edits, like this is cool, but I wish it had blank, and then I'll like write a new drop for it, or change rhythms or something like that. So, yeah. So that's why
amazing.
Here we are, episode 80.
Yeah, episode 80. I mean, what a journey. That's a lot of episodes. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah,
thank you.
Congratulations. So I want to know what the future plans are for Better Together.
For Better Together.
Goals. Yeah.
I definitely want to focus more on the podcast in terms of like getting more artists to showcase on there. We do that weekly, and then scheduling got a little bit tight, and currently we're doing it bi-weekly. So I do want to get that focused on going back to like weekly, because I feel like we've got a good pipeline that we could do that. For releases, I'm going to be less active with releases just because I'm focusing a lot more on my own art. I definitely get all the demos, so I listen along the way, and if anything pops out, I'll send it along for the next steps to go through with that. But
okay, that's amazing. So why LA? You know, this is a podcast, like there's so many different cities and there's so many different DJs, but I'm focused on local DJs, producers, like LA-based DJs and producers and record label, like basically people in the electronic scene that are based here in LA. So why do you choose LA instead of like Colorado or Miami or, you know?
One, the city called me, literally that dream.
Yeah.
I just never forgotten that. And my initial plan was just to come here for 1 year.
Yeah.
So initially come for Icon and then move back. And I fell in love with the city. Warmth obviously wins because Chicago's got shit weather all the time. The beach, just like my energy, like I'm trans and I didn't even feel comfortable to come out until I came out here. So like, very much at home here.
Yeah.
And it's definitely a very expensive city. I've never felt like I've grown more than living in the city.
Yeah. That's great. Great. Do you plan on staying here?
Ready to be. Definitely stay here. Down the road, I may explore being bi-coastal or something like that.
Sure.
I definitely want to tour the country and like play shows in other places to see what else feels like a place that I'd want to be at maybe long term. But honestly, I love where I live now. I'm a mile from the beach, and the fact that that's not really something I think I want to leave. And like here we are in winter. Like right now, it's February, but it feels like January. And for how cold we've been, I would still take that over anybody else in the country, except maybe Miami. But I don't know that I see myself as someone living in Miami. Like that's just
yeah, exactly.
So LA is like home, honestly.
Yeah. LA feels like home.
Everybody, like this is also where I need to be. Like everything that's happening and all the people that I want to work with and build with, they're all here. It makes more sense to be closer to the source rather than like, let me just DM people. Like in person works the best.
Yeah, of course. In person's always the best. Yeah.
We were at a party on Saturday, and I reconnected with a friend that I met when I was at Icon. He goes by Killscript. He's like kicking ass now. I didn't even realize that he rebranded until he was on one of my other friends' podcasts. And then we were with like the guys from Space Yacht and like Thrive, and just like a bunch of other like badasses just like chilling. I'm like, dude, we're just like doing the best. Whereas in Chicago, it's like it was different for me there, and just I didn't feel like I was growing there. I wasn't challenged to grow there. And
Yeah.
here, I feel like I've had way more potential and opportunity to grow just around me.
Yeah. Yeah. I love LA. I think it's such a great place for artists.
Same.
We can be free and be ourselves.
As I was just driving around to check stuff out, I realized
Yeah.
the description for LA was an artist's playground. I didn't know anybody in the city then, but just driving around, whether it's the murals and the art, and then all of that, even the fashion you'll see in people, like
Yep.
just feels like an artist's playground. And here we are as artists, so inspired by so much of the city. Like it's cool.
Agreed. Oh, that's such a beautiful way to say it too. It is an artist's playground. For
Mhm.
sure. For sure. Okay, so what advice do you have for, let's go back to DJing. What advice do you have for novice DJs?
Organize your music.
Yeah.
Avoid the crutches that you start with early on. Like I said, I started with sync, and I don't think I needed to. But once I dropped that, sometimes it's even staring at the screen. Lots of people stare at screens, and though that works, in my experience, the more I am on my toes and like needing to do a lot more, the tighter my mix is, the more engaged I am in it. So the better performance I give. Like I've had friends that I'll play back to back, and they'll use sync not to beat match, but to like get the tempo for them. Like if it's I'm playing 126 and he's playing 130, he'll just hit sync to get that. I'm like, cool, but now you lost the need to adjust your slider.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
you in like flow. So I'd say like organize your music and try to reduce the number of crutches you use. They are there. It helped me get back into DJing fast.
Sure.
But the sooner you get rid of those crutches, the sooner you really will take off.
Amazing.
And
Yeah.
the
Well,
tip I'll
yeah.
say for this is literally knowing your library. So like organizing it,
Mm,
cue points, markers, but also know the styles that you have. Maybe I have a trap folder and a bass house, and like every style should be organized. So when you're playing, maybe you don't always have playlists of 200 songs, but like wait, I'm doing melodic techno. You have a folder for that or stuff like that.
yeah.
I have
Yeah.
bass
Yeah. Yeah.
for chill, and like just organization helps because that's the number one thing I feel like like the number one strength a DJ could have is knowing their library.
Yeah.
You can
Yeah.
play
Yeah.
anywhere, and as long as you know your stuff, like in your record box for the most part, you can play anywhere and just
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Well, like the screen thing. Remember how I was a little bitch about that too? You wanted me to not look at the screen. You wanted me to listen to use my ears, and I was like so mad at you. But now I mean, I look at the screen so that I know when my timing is coming up. But then after that, I don't look at it, you know?
I look at the screen too. I just don't use it for the mix part itself. Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
wait, I'm on beat. My eyes are like looking at people and like listening rather than, hey, I'm on beat. Like it's almost different. Like I'll see
Yeah,
my ending to get out of the song, but like for the beat match, I don't care about a screen for that. Like I just know
yeah,
something's coming and then just
yeah,
do it.
exactly. That's my goal. That's my goal, is to be that way too. Okay, what about advice for novice producers?
This one is so hard, but definitely don't compare yourself to others. I am guilty of that.
Mm, mm,
I'll see somebody that's made this. Why don't I do that? Or why am I not? Whatever. And I mean, I guess that applies to both DJing and production, but I know in myself, I'll compare myself to somebody else's productions or whatever.
yeah,
They like, if you stay in your own lane, there's no traffic. So just like you be you and
yeah,
make art, and that's it.
yeah,
And yeah, and definitely create every day. It definitely is sometimes easier said than done. Like I don't think I wrote any music in November or December at all. Like
mm,
my doc wasn't open for anything other than like label work.
mm, mm-hmm.
And that kills me because like I know what I'm wanting to do with my time, but sometimes life,
Yeah,
whether it's you're busy working or you're just too many obligations.
sure,
But at the same point, I didn't stop creating during that time. I just didn't write music. So maybe I was making
right,
10 or more of this. So like create every day to some
yeah,
degree. And I
yeah,
guess one
yeah,
is don't let music be your only creative outlet.
yeah, yeah,
Because if
yeah,
not, if everyone gets a block necessarily, not like I don't believe in writer's block, but sometimes you're honestly just not inspired. And that's actually
yeah.
us.
What else do you do then?
I've been editing videos lately. I
Yeah.
have coloring books that I'll do. Like and
Love
like
that. I didn't know you like coloring books. You're a colorer?
yeah, coloring books are so much fun. I have canvases that I'm
No
actually
idea. We should just hang out and color.
I am
I also,
100%.
yeah, I also have coloring books that I can give you because I like it, but I don't like it. Like I'm not. I don't do it all the time. And so like have these,
just do it. Like if I'm like
yeah,
bored or like just not inspired and like
yeah,
create, but like
I love
just
that.
doing it, like get away from the computer, play music
Yeah,
or just like color.
get away
Like
from the computer. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I feel that.
he is just play any creative thing.
Yeah,
And like I'll meet people that say that they're like, because I used to work finance and I felt like I wasn't creative when I told myself, hey, I'm gonna produce music. My exact words were like, I'm not even creative. How do I do this? And
yeah,
so many people I meet are like lawyers or accountants and like, I'm not creative. I'm like, bullshit. Everybody's creative. The difference from a creative and not a creative is just knowing how to find flow. And
yeah,
flow is only playtime. That's all it is. I'm just gonna play until I like this and this and whatever it is. It could be colors or shapes or a sound. It's just like play. Play is how you create anything. So.
yeah, yeah. Of course, of course. It's like when we were little kids. Amazing. Okay, so what about anybody who's thinking about starting a record label? What advice would you give them?
It is a lot of work, so I guess make sure you have the right team in place to help you like take the load that you need to and delegate the right jobs to people.
Yeah, yeah.
I feel like it's good to stockpile a bunch of releases to have consistent releases overall. I feel like the best, rather like our best successful months are when we were having like a release every month in a row.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Then, like I said, even at an artist level, like here's a song, and then like many months pass, here's another song. Like it works better if you have a consistent pipeline. So even if it means not releasing for a minute to build that pipeline, I would probably suggest that. And I guess the key, kind of like being an artist, is not necessarily just the content part, but like you want to build something sticky that keeps your fan base. Maybe that's building workshops with them or whatever. Like think it. I heard this when I was in sales, like with them, what's in it for me? Think about your fan base and what makes it what's in it for me. I'm a fan of music. Why your label kind of thing? So stuff like that, whether it's like meet and greets or like
Yeah,
you have the podcast for that. Like here's extra music for you just in time for your weekend, stuff like that.
yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah,
give value to your fan base outside of just music. Because
yeah.
again, music's cool, but like people buy the artist, not the art.
Right, right. Amazing. Well, any last words that you want to leave us with? Anything come to mind that you want to share?
We covered a lot. Just be
We
definitely
did.
because there's lots of dope music coming out soon.
There is a lot of dope music coming out soon. The music scene in LA is fire right now. Like there's so many great artists. There's so much great music, underground and not even underground. You know, like commercial to underground. There's a lot of really, really great stuff happening here. So
As well, and I don't know that I'd see as much of the things as I did if I did not live in this city. So I don't see myself leaving. This is definitely
yeah, I don't know how I could possibly leave. I love it here so much. Like I've come back here now 3 times.
the same.
I can't stay away. Yeah, I can't stay away. Okay, well, thank you again so much for this interview. And I mean, I learned so much, so I'm sure that the listeners and the viewers are going to learn even more. Yeah.
I had fun.
Thank you so much, and I will talk to you soon.
Cool.
Then I'm just